Torry Holt, Super Bowl champ with the Rams when they beat the Titans, is watching this Rams team. He will tonight. He joins us live. 7-time Pro Bowler. When you watch Cooper Kupp, and you watch Stafford, I was talking to you during the break about Stafford and McVay and Cooper Kupp, and it doesn't have the dynamic sort of qualities that your offense did. But let's talk Cooper Kupp, for instance. You should be in the Hall of Fame. He has qualities that are hard to explain. He's always open. It doesn't matter if it's press coverage. It's zone. When you watch Cooper Kupp, what do you see?
I see a really skilled, talented wide receiver, Colin. I've been watching him since he's joined the Rams. Look, I think people really don't understand the size of Cooper Kupp. And I've said this before on your show and on other shows. He's 6'2", 8 pounds. He's not a small guy. So you just can't really get up to the line of scrimmage and bully him. And then if you play off, he has the size to be able to run through bumps and jams. And then he can separate, and he has unbelievable hand-eye coordination, Colin. I said that to you. His hand-eye coordination is unbelievable. He has a really good skill. He's like a ballerina playing the position. We're watching someone really working to master the craft of the wide receiver position, and we're so happy to have him there at the Rams. And then Puka Nacua and the other wide receivers get an opportunity to spend time with Cooper Kupp every single day to see how it's done, to see how it is to be a professional athlete, a professional wide receiver on the day-to-day basis. He's a guy that sits in the front of the room in meeting rooms. He takes pertinent, really good notes. He shares the information. And then lastly, Colin, one of the things that I like about this football team and what I like about our Rams receiver room, it reminds me a lot of the greatest show on turf, our receiver room. We really enjoy watching each other have success. And you see that when you watch this football team. They block on the perimeter. When you see Kyron Williams have those long runs, the wide receivers are out on the perimeter making blocks, getting guys down on the ground, really playing unselfish football. These guys enjoy each other's company. They enjoy each other's success.
So Kurt Warner was part of that Super Bowl winning team, and he was bagging groceries. He was playing in the Arena League. And Brock Purdy, similarly, is unheralded. Now, Kurt's, I think, a little bigger than Brock, but they're both shocked the world. And for a while, nobody gave Kurt credit. It was Torry Holt, Isaac Bruce. It was Marshall Faulk, right? Did you know when you watch Purdy, do you think to yourself, oh, that's Kurt? Did you know instantly? No, Kurt's this is not just us, it's him.
Yeah, for Kurt to have the success that he had, and he went on and he won MVPs, but he had really talented guys around him. Actually, he had Hall of Fame players around him. So that helped elevate his game. He certainly helped to elevate our game. When you watch the San Francisco 49ers, Brock Purdy, out of nowhere, right? But when you look at his skill sets, when you look at his deposition within the pocket, when you look at his mechanics, when you look at the type of offense that they run, the creativity that they run, they put him in his sweet spots in order to excel. And then he has Christian McCaffrey, as you see there on the screen, who's dynamic. Marshall Faulk, Christian McCaffrey. When you look at Brandon Ayuk, you look at Deebo Samuels, you look at George Kittle, you look at Greg Jennings. They have so much talent on this offense. They got a guy that can get it to him, and then they got a coordinator in Kyle Shanahan that can drum up any play to make sure that his guys are getting the football, again, in their sweet spots, making big, explosive plays. I love what Brock Purdy is doing. Like I said, I love his vision within the pocket, his poise within the pocket, his ability to deliver the ball where the guys can run through it and still have run after the catch. So a lot of talent, a lot of skill that Brock Purdy certainly is illustrating, but he also has really high-level all-pro talent around him.
Tyreek Hill recently listed you as one of his top 5 receivers. So Miami plays Dallas this week. I have said this before. They're a little like the speedboat of the league. I don't know if they're built for choppy waters, but when they're going just on speed, they're a handful. Tyreek, and I'm not sure. Darrell Green, the corner for Washington, had like Olympic speed. Tyreek Hill has you're talking about in a league full of fast guys. They're Deion Sanders. They're next level fast. But when you watch Tyreek Hill, do you think he runs good routes? Do you think they use him properly? Is it just all raw talent? What do you see with him?
No, it's raw talent. They use him properly, and he's extremely fast. He's the fastest player in the National Football League. And to answer your question is about his routes, he's gotten better as the years have gone on with his route running. And he'll tell you that that's why you're seeing the explosion of catches. You're seeing the explosion of big plays, explosive plays. You're seeing an explosive guy in terms of yards. If Tyreek Hill, because of the way football is played on the defensive side of the ball now, he can penetrate defenses easily now, way easily than what it was when we were playing. And with his speed and his ability to run routes, and then Coach McDaniel, who does a heck of a job of play calling, pulling these guys again in their sweet spots, his numbers will continue to climb. I don't know if he reaches 2,000 this year, Colin, but I think here in the near future, he reaches 2,000 yards as a wide receiver because of the talent that he has. He has a quarterback in Tua that could get it to him. He's got a play caller that calls sweet plays for them. And then Tyreek has the unbelievable ability to get past guys. The speed is scary. It scares guys. He can take off the top end of defenses. He can catch hitches and take them 80 yards. Just a phenomenal talent with a tremendous amount of speed. And he's continuing to get better at route running, continuing to get better at his craft.
You know, Julian Edelman said something on our set about a month ago. He said, you know, even though it was often the same players, he goes, every Patriot team was different. You'll lose a coordinator. You'll lose a good blocking tight end. You'll lose a good guard. You'll gain an edge rusher. He said, you think, oh, it's Brady, it's Edelman, it's Gronk. He said, it's not the way it works. Every team has a different personality. Some guys, after they get paid, they don't quite put the work in. Some guy, you bring a free agent in, he disrupts the locker room. And so Philadelphia lost some key players, and they're not the same team this year, though very good. Go back to your Super Bowl winning team. Why didn't you win 3 straight? Talk about when you have a great team, as Philadelphia did last year, win a championship or not, they got there. That every year, even though it was many of the same guys, the next year it's not quite the same.
Yeah, it's a challenge. You know, they have, when you look at the Eagles, they have a lot of the same guys returning from that team last year. But the difference is their coordinators are different. There's been a change in coordinators. And then also, I do a show every Tuesday morning, myself and Solomon Wilcox on Sirius XM NFL Radio. And we talked about this. I believe that the Philadelphia Eagles, because they're getting everybody's best every single Sunday. Yeah. They're playing a Super Bowl every single Sunday. They're going through a series here now of mental and physical fatigue. It happens. It is challenging to get up every single week to play your best. And that's what they're getting. And you're seeing that. They're not running the football as well as they once were. You see Jalen Hurts is having some issues within the pocket. As you see there, he's missed A.J. Brown. They are not connecting on some of the explosive plays that we were seeing from A.J. Brown earlier in the year. They're not stopping the run. They're not really good on the back end. So there is some issues that they're certainly having, but I think their number one issue is mental and physical fatigue. They got to work through that. They obviously have made a change with the defensive coordinator, Matt Patricia, coming in and now calling plays. I thought last week, in that game, they did some good things. They didn't give up big explosive against the Seahawks until later in that game when they decided all of a sudden they wanted to go one-on-one with Bradbury against those talented receivers from the Seahawks. But the Philadelphia Eagles certainly got some issues that they got to work through. But again, as I mentioned, Colin, number one, mental and physical fatigue. You're seeing that with the Eagles. Finally,
Dallas is one of the strangest teams. They're dominant at home, and then they can be awful on the road.
Terrible.
I mean, it's hard to explain. I've said for years, you see this in college and pro sports, there'll be glamour franchises. And when they win, everybody, all shows like ours talk about them. And Dallas is one of those franchises. They go on a 3-game winning streak, and everybody heaps praise. They get on that bus in Buffalo, and they get off it, and they're not ready to go. That's the only, I've always said Texas football has a little bit of that. When they win, they're the topic. And everybody loves Texas. We fall in love with them again. What do you make of Dallas's performance in Buffalo? What was that? Why was that?
They got beat down. Buffalo dominated both sides of the line of scrimmage. They actually was pushing the Dallas Cowboys around. And look, when you think about the Dallas Cowboys in that front, obviously with Mekhi Parsons, and you think about Smith over there on the offense side of all their left tackle. These guys were being moved around on the line of scrimmage is what I saw. And then This guy right here, James Cook. They had no answer for James Cook. And big shouts out to Coach Brady, the new offensive coordinator there with Buffalo, and how they're using James Cook. James Cook is leading all running backs from scrimmage yards the last 4 or 5 weeks. No one's playing better than James Cook. He's running it in between the tackle, running on the perimeter. He's running it in between the guards. He's catching the ball out of the backfield. Yeah. As you saw there, that touchdown that he caught, that was an all-hands grab. I'm thinking he may be on the all-hands team of mine here real soon if he keeps making grabs like that. But Buffalo is hella talented. Yes, they are. But Dallas, they do not play well on the road. That's why it's important for them. They got to try to win out to see if they can get some games at home during the playoffs because they're not good on the road. But look, Dak Prescott coming into last week was my leading candidate for the league MVP. I still have him up there. 22 touchdowns since week 8. I mean, you can't just throw that out. You got to really factor that in. But they got to win more. My 4 MVP candidates going into the final part of the season: Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, and Lamar Jackson. But the Dallas Cowboys has got to get their road situation handled because they may have to go on the road in the playoffs, and they got to win.
Yeah,
they do.
Detroit, Philly, Tampa, they could go in all of them. Torry Holt, 7-time Pro Bowler. Good talking to you again.
No doubt, Colin. Thanks for having me. Happy holidays, everyone. Peace.
Yep. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.